Hey fam, welcome to another episode of Good, Bad, and Ugly about real estate. I have a great guest for you, my friend Fran. How are you doing, Fran?
I'm doing amazing. How are you doing, Jose?
I'm doing fantastic. I have you on my podcast, and we're going to learn a little bit about you and your journey. So, without further ado, can you tell everybody, what you're doing and how you got there?
Sure. Well, first, thank you so much for asking me. It's so sweet of you to have me on.
Of course.
Um, my journey is pretty awesome because I really didn't know anything about real estate, right? So I feel like I can really resonate with maybe women that need to pivot in their life or find something new to do or whatever. Because so my background is in retail management. I was in the retail business um, for 25 years. So I moved all over the place. But it taught me so much. It taught me how to run a business, right?
Right.
So it doesn't matter what the business is because you can learn the thing, but I have all the core skills to do whatever. So about 2 years ago, almost 3 years, I think now.
Okay.
Um, I think almost 2 years. Anyway, we started, my son-in-law and I started a real estate investing company, and we've been investing in real estate. Here, I'm in South Carolina, and we started out with a couple of duplexes, and then we've partnered with lots of people, and we have some co-living. I'm working on developing an RV park. We have a big piece of property out here in South Carolina that I need to figure out something to do with. So I'm working with some other people with Jordan Reyes and talk to several people that are in Owners Club that are already doing development. And so partnering, just not partnering necessarily, but getting information from them for that. And then co-living. So the two main focuses are co-living and RV parks. So I'm excited to shift into that. And I've learned so much in a year and a half. So if I can do it,
Anybody can do it.
yeah.
So, I mean, that's to me a big leap, right? Going from retail sales to RV parks, because I mean, that for some people that may be watching this is very scary. And then to do co living. So, let's start with RV parks and then we'll kind of end in co living because I think that's where, well, most people would probably resonate more with. So, what brought you to RV parks and how did you educate yourself in order to feel comfortable enough to invest in that type of asset?
I'm still learning, right? Because we never stop learning. So I've partnered with a couple of people from Sub Two and Owners Club, and so we're all doing it together. And there's all different levels of people, right? So I have Jason Merritt, which is developing his own park. So I'm able to work with him and learn from him. And I don't know if you ever really feel like you really just know. I mean, maybe in 10 years, I'll feel like I really know. But like they always say, we all worry about that imposter syndrome. But even the big wigs like Tony Robbins and whatever, they say, it never really goes away, right?
Right.
It's different. So I just choose to do the hard thing and just go for it. And we'll see what happens.
That's awesome.
And I
So
feel
for
like it's still running a business, right? It still will be like running a business.
gotcha. And for co-living, what drove you to consider that as a strategy?
I just really, so two things. One, obviously the revenue, right? Because we can make a lot more within one house by doing co-living versus renting out just the single house. But in the same time, you're creating affordable housing and helping people. So that really resonates with me because I was a young parent. My husband and I did everything backwards. We've been together since I was 15. So I've been there, I've been where everything costs a ton. And right now it's so expensive and we just need to create something for people. And I feel like that's an easy way to do that.
So for the people that are watching this, co-living, in case you don't know what it is basically it's like rent by the room, or if you go to college these days, it's kind of like your quads, where everybody has their own room. You have common areas that everybody is allowed to use, like the kitchen, the dining room, and the living room. So one of the strategies that me and Fran are starting to implement in our business is called business to business. And I'll let Fran, you want to kind of elaborate on what that strategy is for
Sure.
people to learn?
Yeah. So the nice thing with the co-living too is to create community, because sometimes when people are alone also, it's so hard. So here, their communal areas are the living room and the kitchen. So generally, somebody ends up being like the house person or just naturally takes charge. Maybe we'll cook for everybody, and they create like a little community. So that's like the goal. So business to business is where you actually rent the whole house on a master lease, which means like they lease the whole house to an organization. So you can do it with like hospitals, with like for sober living, all different kinds of organizations and nonprofits. And so then they rent the house from you, and then they handle everything else. They pay you your weekly rate, and it's regardless if there's anybody there or not, because they're giving it to you at that full occupancy price. And usually they have so many people on a wait list that it's never empty anyway, but they filter in the people, they take care of who's there, they vet them, they do everything. So you're just responsible for the property. So it makes it even easier, but you're still creating that housing and you're still helping people in need.
That's awesome.
And
So
it's more, you make more too that way, right? The profits are higher. So then you can turn around and use that money and do the next house.
perfect. So for the people watching here, this is kind of an example. So let's say you buy a 4 bedroom, 2 bath house and you want to use co-living, right? If you do a long-term rental on that property, let's say it could rent for, let's say, $2,500 a month. Well, if you do co-living, a standard co-living property, you may be able to get, let's say, $800 to $900 a room. So that's what, $3,600 a month. So if you look at just those two examples alone, you went from 25 to 36. So you increased your potential earnings by $1,100. Now, if you go from business to business, like Fran was saying, where you partner with a sober living company or even the VA or some kind of corporate entity. In our case, we're doing nonprofits. You could potentially get maybe up to upwards of 1,300 a room, right? So if we had four, what is that? Making me do math. 5,200. So 5,200 from 25. Now you're almost 20. You're actually $2,700 potential. So you can see the potential of growing. And one thing that Fran didn't mention as far as co-living is concerned is it's almost like having it's single family but with a multi-family earning potential. That's kind of why I like it. Multifamily, when you try to get into multifamily, depending on the size of the property or asset, you usually have to syndicate because the cost to get into that asset is so much. But with single family and doing co-living, entry into that asset is a little bit lower and easier to get into that you can actually do it by yourself or with a partner. So, Fran, what strategy are you using? Are you partnering with somebody or are you financing the whole thing? Like, how are you? Because that's one of the, a lot of problems that people are having, right? It's like, I want to do real estate, but I don't know how to get into it. I don't know how to. I don't know how I have no money. I'm broke, or I have a W-2. I don't know how to balance the two. So, can you kind of share how you manage that kind of those kind of questions? Or
Let me add one thing before I answer that is also on what you were saying with how it's more rent. It's also a master lease. So you don't have to worry about not having a tenant. When you have a regular, like let's say you do pad split or whatever company you work with, you might have weeks where you have nobody. When it's master leased, you're never almost ever not going to have that, and you're going to get paid regardless because they're taking care of that. So it's really a good way to do it. Yes, I have partners. So I have a group. We're five ladies, and we named ourselves the Powerhouse, which is pretty cool. We all invested. How we met is we all invested in Dustin and Tracy Koa's co-living. So they're also in the community. And so we all were already on the same mission and we just clicked. And so we're working together. That way we can together fund or capital raise, or which means find the money somewhere, right?
right,
Um, for these properties. So like we're looking for to do one maybe in Houston that's a B2B, which is business to business, and so we're just going to talk and say, okay, well, this is what the down payment is. Do we want to use our own money, or do we want to capital raise? Or maybe we do a little bit of our own money as the deposit and then capital raise. But you can, I think I think that's one of the most awesome things about the community is that everybody wants to do co-living. So if
Right.
you don't know anybody, you need to go into sub two, or if you're, in the paid one or the non-paid one, if you're not in the community, and start talking to people, start posting about what you're interested in doing. And people will come to you and say, hey, I want to do that too. And start finding people, like-minded people that eventually will trust, and make sure that, you always protect yourself with agreements and things. But, that's the easiest way to do it when you don't have the money. And most of us don't, right? We don't all have just all this, not yet anyway, this money that's just sitting around. And even if you do, PACE teaches us don't use your own money.
Right.
So that's the best way. Nothing is easy, right? Everything is hard. You have to work for what you want. But everything is achievable. You just have to go after it.
So 2 years now, you're going from retail to real estate. Have you found it difficult to network with people so that when you have to raise money, that'll be a problem for you when the time comes?
No, well, no, I don't think so. So it's hard when you first go to that first meetup and you don't know anybody, and you
Sure.
feel like, and I'm little too, so I feel like little physically and little, act,
Right.
in the room, just because, again, imposter syndrome. Like, why am I here? These people are not going to want to talk to me. Like, I don't know anything yet. I'm going through the vault. I'm learning all the things. Um, but I feel like but I can talk to people though. That's the key, right? You can't be scared. You can't be, it's natural to be nervous, but you have to still do it, is I guess what I'm getting at. You still have to go. You still have to put yourself out there. You need to build the relationships. They need to learn what you can or do and what you're willing to do. And even just learning from them, right? Going with them. I went with some folks on a fix and flip house that they're doing. I haven't done any fix and flips, but I wanted to go and look and see how the process worked. And people like that. And then they know that you're serious and what you're doing, and they're more likely to work with you.
That's awesome. What would you say are some like two big lessons that you learned in the last 2 years that really helped you move forward in your business?
I think the biggest thing is you need to tell people what you're doing. Because if you need people to help you, how will they know if you don't tell them or you don't ask? So, like, I'm not great at this, and I'm really working at it. And again, in the beginning, it was because of my imposter syndrome. Like, I'm going to start posting on social media that I'm a real estate investor, and everybody knows me not as a real estate investor. It's like, wait, what? But I should have used that as like, the hook or whatever, that's
Right.
where my pivot is. And this is what I'm doing now. And I've done that a little bit. I just really need to do it more. And I've had people reach out to me. Okay, tell me what you're doing. How do I do it too? I don't have money. How can I still do it? Absolutely. This is
Right.
what I'm doing, how you can do it. So I think that's one. And two, um, is just getting out there. Like, just go to the meetup. Like, for me in the very beginning, that was, even though I'm a people person and I'll talk to anybody and I don't have a problem, it still takes you a minute to get out of your comfy pajamas and out of your warm house to go on a Tuesday night all the way across town, But every time that I've gone, something good has come out of it. I met a person. Um, so, like, I met Jason and Paul Birmingham. I don't know if you know him. He's in Sub 2. They're both obviously one's local, one's a little bit local. And I'm partnering with them also, where we have a 4-acre lot that we're going to develop into 6 parcels. We're subdividing, and we're going to add, it has one house, we're going to demolish it, and we're going to put 6 houses and sell all of them off. So now I'm learning about development. But I only know them because I went to this meetup and created a relationship and started talking to them, and now we're doing this together.
That's
So
awesome.
my motto is just do it scared. Like, everything new is scary. Doesn't matter if it's in real estate, if it's whatever it is. but just do it scared, because if you let it hold you back, then you're never going to do anything.
Exactly. So you mentioned that you've never done ground development, right? And some of the people that are watching my podcast are new. So how, the question that comes to me trying to put on my newbie lens is, how do you approach somebody if you don't have experience in development? How do you present yourself in a manner that you also have value and you bring something to the table?
Yeah, so I have communication skills, right? They're busy. So tell me all of the things that I need to do. Okay, I have to call the county to ask questions. So I have lists of questions that I can do that. Everybody can do that. And I've learned so much about zoning and planning and all of those things in these 2 years, which is awesome. Things that sometimes I'll be in a conversation with somebody and I'll say something and I'm like, oh, how did I know that? So proud of myself.
Right.
So whatever your talent is, right? Your talent is to make phone calls and follow up on emails and be the main contact person or the research person. That's big for them because they're super busy, right? Paul's a real estate agent and he's got listings and all of the things. Jason's a broker, so he's doing all his other things. So I'm busy too, but I'm able to, it's easier for me because I can sit here and do all of that. So whatever you feel your strengths are, that's what you need to capitalize on and offer.
That's awesome. So if somebody wanted to reach out to you and see if they could partner with you, learn from you, or just follow you on your journey, how would they do that?
Yeah, so you can follow me. I have an Instagram at Francisca McCleary, and my name's right there because it's hard. Both of the names are hard. I go by Fran because it's just easier. Um, but honestly, I'm on Facebook more, which is Francisca McCleary also, and I'm the only Francisca McCleary I think in the whole entire world, so it should be easy to find me. But I would love to answer questions or just be a sounding board for somebody. I know it's hard when you're new, and just to have somebody to talk to, and yeah, I'm here.
Awesome. And for the audience, if you like this, please hit the like and subscribe button down below. I'm trying to get back into the thing and share people's journeys so that you're not as scared and give you more resources. So until next time, fam, we'll see you on the next one. Thanks,
Thank
Fran.
you. Good luck, everyone.